Hello and welcome. In this video we're going to be looking at some GCSE worded questions on tree diagrams. We are looking at a total of 9 questions which are going to be worth 33 marks in total. There's a copy of the exam paper for you to download in the description below. Please have a go at that paper before you watch the video. So let's have a look at question 1. This has been taken from the AQA June 2018 paper 2. This is question number 11 from that paper and it's worth 4 marks. So part A for 1 mark, complete the tree diagram. So in a tree diagram all the branches need to add up to make 1. So if this is 1/3, this must be 2/3. If this is 1/3, then this must be 2/3. And then these ones, we've got both of them blank. But because we're referring to the second dice, we follow the same probabilities as we have here. Less than 3 is 1/3. 3 or more is 2/3. Question B. Work out the probability that both dice lie on a number less than 3. So we are looking at the outcome where we go less than 3 and less than 3. So the first one's less than 3 and the second one is less than 3. So the word and in probability means multiply. So we're going to be doing 1/3 multiplied by 1/3, which is 1/9. And that's your answer for part B of the question. Part C. Work out the probability that exactly one of the dice lies on a number less than 3. If we want exactly one to land on a number less than 3. So let's assume that the first one was less than 3. That would mean that the second one would need to be 3 or more. So the probabilities involved here are 1/3 and the second dice needs to be 3 or more. So we use the word and. So that's 2/3. So we multiply them together, that gives us 2/9. If the first one is 3 or more, which is 2/3, and the second one would then have to be less than 3, so 1/3. Multiply those together, we get 2/9, and we could have this first outcome or this second outcome. So what we need to do is add these two probabilities. So probability, these two added together, 2/9 add 2/9, which is 4/9, and that'll get you the 2 marks. Let's have a look at question number 2. This has been taken from the AQA June 2018, paper 3 higher. It's question number 27 on that paper and it's worth 3 marks. A bag contains 30 discs. 10 are red, 20 are blue. 10 red, 20 blue. One disc is taken out at random and replaced by 2 of the other colour. Another disc is taken out at random and replaced by 2 of the other colour. Another disc is taken out random. Work out the probability that all 3 discs are red. So there are 3 picks going on here. So initially there are 30 discs, there are 10 red, and there are 20 blue. So the probability that the first one is red is going to be 10 out of 30. That's going to be my first probability. So we now remove that one red. So we now have 9 reds and we replace it by 2 of the other colour. So we now have 22 blue. So now we have 31 discs in total. And the probability of a red for the second pick is 9 out of 31. And we pick another red. So if we pick another red, we now have 8 reds and we replace it by 2 blues, so we now have 24 blues. So we now have 32 discs. So the probability that the third one is red is 8 out of 32. And what we need to do is multiply these numbers together. Okay, we could simplify this a little bit actually. This will be 1/3 times 9 over 31 times 1/4. And paper 3 is a calculator paper, so you can use a calculator. or you can work that out on your own. Let's use a calculator. So 1/3 times 9/31 times 1/4 gives us 3/124. And that's our final answer for the question. Question 3. This has been taken from the AQA, November 2017. It's paper 1 higher, and it was question 27 on that paper, which is worth 4 marks. There are 11 pens in a box. 8 are black, 3 are red. 2 pens are taken out at random without replacement. So work out the probability that the 2 pens are the same colour. So the different outcomes here are we can have red, red, or we can have black, black. Okay, so what's the probability that the first pen is red? It's going to be 3 out of the 11. And then we want to know the probability of the second one being red. Well, now there's only 2 reds remaining because this was done without replacement. And there are a total of 10 pens in the box. So it's 3/11 times 2/10, which is 6 out of 110. The probability of blue and blue, again we're going to be multiplying. First black would be 8 out of 11. Now that we've taken out one of the blacks, there are now 7 blacks remaining out of a total of 10 pens. So now 8 times 7 is 56 out of 110. Now we are interested in 2 pens of the same colour. That could mean 2 reds or 2 blacks. So the answer to the question is going to be this one, add this one. So that gives us 62 out of 110, which will simplify to 31 out of 55. So have a look at question 4. So this is taken from the AQA November 2018. It's paper 2 higher, and it was question 18 on that paper, which was worth 5 marks in total. So a bag contains 20 discs. 10 are red, 7 are blue, and 3 are green. So 10 red, 7 blue, and 3 are green. Marnie takes a disc at random before putting it back in the bag. Nick takes a disc at random before putting it back in the bag. Ollie takes a disc at random. Work out the probability that they all take a red disc. So the probability that Marnie takes a red disc is 10 out of the total number of discs, which is 20. Marnie puts the disc back in the bag. So when Nick picks the disc, there are still 10 red out of 20. And Nick puts it back in the bag, and Ollie then picks, and then it's 10 out of 20 again. And we want Marnie to pick a red, and Nick to pick a red, and Ollie to pick a red, so we multiply them all together. This will simplify down to give you 1,000 over 8,000, which is 1/8. 18b. All 20 discs are in the bag. Reggie takes 3 discs at random, one after the other. After he takes a disc, he does not put it back into the bag. So this is sampling without replacement. Reggie's first disc is blue. Work out the probability that all 3 discs are different colours. So if we already know that the first disc is blue, then the second disc would have to be red or green, and then the third one would have to be the other one. So we've got blue, and then we can have green, and then we can have red. So these are the only possibilities of getting 3 different colours, because we already know that this first thing has already happened. So what we need to do is work out the probability that the second disc that we pick is going to be red, and then the third one is green, or the second disc is green and the third one is red. So now that the first disc has been taken out, what do we have in the bag? Well, we now have still have 10 reds, we only have 6 blues, and we have 3 greens, and in total we have 19 discs. So let's work out the probability of getting a red. So the red, there are 10 reds out of 19, so 10 out of 19. And then for my third pick, which would be trying to get a green. There are 3 greens left out of 18. And then let's work out the other option. So let's pick a green first. So this will be 3 out of 19 for a green. And since we've picked one, there's now 18 left. And now we want to pick a red. There are still 10 red. So we need to work these out. So 10 over 19 times 3 over 18. So that's 5 over 57. And this one will also be 5 out of 57. So we don't mind this one or this one happening. So we are going to add these two probabilities. So that will give us 10 out of 57 as our final answer. So the probability of 3 different colours is 10 out of 57. Question 5. Alan has 2 spinners, spinner A and spinner B. Each spinner can land only on red or white. The probability that spinner A will land on red is 0.25, and the probability that spinner B lands on red is 0.6. So if it can only land on red or white, so to work out white, we just do 1 minus the 0.25, and the same calculations here, 1 minus 0.6 is 0.4. Alan spins a spinner A once, and spinner B once. He does this a number of times. The number of times both spinners land on red is 24. So let's work out what's the probability of getting a red and a red. Well, that's the probability of red multiplied by the probability of red. So probability of red in my first pick is 0.25. and red in my second pick is 0.6. So if we multiply them together, we get 0.15. So that's the probability of getting 2 reds. Now, this number here, this 24, is the frequency of the 2 reds that we got. That's 24. So what we're going to use here is we're going to be using a formula where expected frequency equals probability times number of trials. So what do we know from this question? Well, we know the expected frequency is 24 because we've got the 2 reds 24 times. The probability is 0.15 and times the number of trials. That's what we're trying to work out. So let's call this T. We just rearrange this. 24 divided by 0.15 will give us T. And that's 160. So there are 160 trials. So that's how many times he's thrown the dice in total. He's done the spinners in total. Work out an estimate for the number of times that both spinners land on white. So the probability of white and white is equal to the probability of white multiplied by the probability of white. So that's 0.75 times 0.4. So that's the first white, and that's the second white. If we multiply those together, we get 0.3. So the expected frequency of white is equal to the probability. So we're going back to this formula here. It's equal to the probability, which we've just worked out as 0.3, multiplied by the total number of trials, which we worked out earlier was 160. 0.3 times 160 gives us 48 times. So an estimate for the number of times that both spinners will land on white is 48. Question 6. This is taken from the Edexcel June 2018. It's paper 3 higher, and it was question 4 on the paper, and it's worth 2 marks. When a biased 6-sided dice is thrown, the probability that it will land on a 4 is 0.65. The biased dice is thrown twice. Amir draws a probability tree diagram. The diagram is not correct. Write down 2 things that are wrong with the probability tree diagram. Okay, so we're not doing any calculations, we're explaining what's wrong here. So the first thing I can see is quite obvious here. The branches need to add up to 1. So these 2 branches, if you add them up, you only get 0.9. So 0.65 plus 0.25 is equal to 0.9. Okay, so this needs to add to make 1. That's the first point. Let's have a look for the second point. Okay, so he's throwing the same dice twice. Okay, so that should probably be 0.35 because of that. Now, over here, the probability of a 4 is 0.65, which is exactly what it says there. But over here, it says that the probability of a 4 is 0.35. So these 2 numbers have been switched. Okay, so on the second throw, the probabilities are written the wrong way around. And that will get you the 2 marks for that question. Question number 7. This has been taken from the Edexcel June 2018. It's paper 1 higher, which is the non-calculator. It was question 16 and it was worth 3 marks. So there are only red, blue and purple counters in the bag. So you've got red, blue and purple. The ratio of the number of red counters to blue is 3 to 17. Okay, so red to blue are in the ratio of 3 to 17. Sam takes a random counter out of the bag. The probability that the counter is purple is 0.2. Okay, so the probability of purple is equal to 0.2. So the probability of not purple is 1 minus 0.2, which is 0.8. Okay, and not purple must mean that it's red or blue. So the probability of red or blue is 0.8. Now the number of red counters to blue counters is in this ratio. So if we add these 2 ratios, we get 20. 3 add 17 is 20. So since I know that the probabilities need to add up to 0.8, so 3 to 17, they add up to 20. So let's make it add up to 80. So I'm going to multiply by 4. So 3 times 4 is 12. 17 times 4 is 68. Okay, so what this now tells me is that the probability of red is 12%, which is 0.12, and the probability of blue is 68%, 0.68. The question is, what's the probability that Sam takes a red counter? The probability of red is just 0.12. Question 8. This has been taken from the Edexcel June 2018, paper 2 higher. This is question 15 and it's worth a total of 5 marks. The darts team is going to play a match on Saturday and on Sunday. The probability that their team will win on Saturday is 0.45. That means the probability that they will not win would be 1 minus that, so that's going to be 0.55. If they win on Saturday, the probability that they will win on Sunday is 0.67, which means the probability that they will not win is 1 minus that, which is 0.33. If they do not win on Saturday, the probability that they will win on Sunday is 0.35, and then the probability that they will not win is 1 minus 0.35, which is 0.65. So part A was to complete the probability tree diagram. We've done that part already. Part B is going to be worth 3 marks. Find the probability that the team will win exactly one of the 2 matches. So that means that we win the first one and then we do not win the second one. Or we do not win the first one and then we win the second one. And then we're going to have to multiply these together. So the probability that we win the first game, which is 0.45, and then we do not win the second one, is going to be 0.33. And if we do not win the first one, that's 0.55, which means we'd have to win the second one, which would be 0.35. We're going to work these out, and then we add them together because it could be this one, or this outcome, or this outcome. So 0.45 times 0.33, 0.1485, and 0.55 times 0.35, 0.1925. And then we add these 2 numbers up together. So we get 0.3410. The answer to this question, 0.341. Here's question 9. This has been taken from the Edexcel June 2017. It's taken from paper 1 higher, which is the non-calculator paper. It was question 17 in that paper and it was worth a total of 4 marks. So there are 9 counters in a bag. 7 are green and 2 are blue. Ria takes 2 counters at random from the bag. Work out the probability that Ria takes 1 counter of each colour. So that means she takes a green first and then a blue, or she takes a blue first, then a green. And it says this one or this one. So we're going to work out these 2 first. So the probability that the first counter is green is 7 out of 9. Right, and she takes 2 counters out of the bag. So she does not replace them. So now when she does her second pick, there are only 8 counters remaining. And we want the probability of the second one being blue. So that's going to be 2 out of 8, which will give us 14 out of 72. The probability that the first one is blue and then the second one is green. So blue for the first one is 2 over 9. And green for the second one. Remember, now we only have 8 counters, but we still have 7 of them that are green. So that's 14 out of 72. And then it's this outcome or this outcome. So the probability of one of each colour is 14 over 72. Add 14 over 72, which is 28 out of 72, which will simplify to 14 out of 36, and then 7 out of 18. And that will be your final answer. Thank you for watching our video on GCSE worded questions on tree diagrams. If you found this video useful, please let us know by giving us a thumbs up and leave us any feedback in the comments below. Please share this video with anyone who you feel may find this useful, and remember, for more content like this, hit the subscribe button. Until next time, goodbye.